Hi, my name is Frank. I'm German and I live in the USA. I'm glad you're stopping by again, and if you like this video, please leave me a like and subscribe to my channel. In Germany, it's often emphasized that it's a progressive country with a high value on democracy. However, I personally have the impression that in recent years the country has been moving in backward direction and has gradually moved away from the democratic principles. Development of the party landscape. There used to be a variety of parties in Germany, covering the political spectrum from left to right. But since Angela Merkel took office as a chancellor, all parties seem to have moved further and further to the left. The right-wing AfD party has been systematically excluded from the political discourse, defamed, and suppressed since it was founded 10 years ago. In a democracy, however, one should also tolerate opposing opinions and seek exchange instead of suppressing them. The role of the Office for the Protection of the Constitution. The observation and infiltration of the AfD by the Office for the Protection of the Constitution raises doubts about its independence. The fact that the head of the Office for the Protection of the Constitution belongs to the ruling party SPD and shows sympathy for Antifa suggests that the Office for the Protection of the Constitution is politically influenced. Although this is not directly reminiscent of the state security of the former GDR, it does show questionable parallels. Democratic elections and breaking taboos. The democratic election of Thomas Kemmerich as Prime Minister of Thuringia triggered a government crisis, as he had also received votes from the AfD. Angela Merkel's call for this democratic election to be reversed raises questions about democracy in Germany. Such events are reminiscent of undemocratic events in other countries. Angela Merkel even spoke up during a state visit to an African country and demanded that this democratic election be reversed.
Die Wahl dieses Ministerpräsidenten war ein
The election of this minister-president was a peculiar procedure which had breached a basic conviction both for the CDU and also for myself, namely that no majority should be won with the AfD. This was foreseeable in this constellation, which was voted on in a third ballot. That's why this action is inexcusable.
Can such a process really be called democratic? Imagine if a governor of any US state were democratically elected and then Joe Biden from abroad spoke up and said that the election was invalid because he didn't like it. One can imagine the uproar that would cause, but in Germany people accepted Angela Merkel's decision without protest. Risk of a totalitarian regime. And this brings me to the topic that is driven by ideologies and can lead to a totalitarian condition in Germany. Of course, you have to protect minorities and prevent discrimination, but Germany wants to establish laws that open doors to establish a totalitarian regime and establish a surveillance state. The planned reform of the anti-discrimination law, as proposed by Ferda Attermann, could lead to dangerous restrictions on freedom of expression and the creation of a surveillance state. A reversal of the burden of proof could mean that people could easily be sued for the beliefs, jeopardizing a democratic basics. Who actually determines who is discriminated in Germany. In Germany, this is the discrimination commissioner Ferda Attermann. She wants to reform the law with which racists and misanthropes are sued, the AGG law. The problem, Attermann demands, read like the blueprint for a new surveillance state. People who feel discriminated should no longer have to prove it. An overwhelming probability is sufficient. This means that anyone who does not invite a Muslim woman wearing a headscarf to a job interview is under general suspicion of racism and can be sued. And in the future, every company will have to set up a reporting office for discrimination, and anyone who doesn't do so will have to pay a fine. Because according to Attermann, the lack of registration office is an indication of disadvantage. But that's not all. The de minimis limit is also to be abolished and the fine increased. This means anyone who addresses a non-binary activist with the wrong pronoun could be liable to prosecution and sued in the future. This would result in high fines. But the first regulation is as follows. Attermann wants to get the right to sue people, even if she herself was not discriminated against. In plain language, this means that Attermann wants to check companies, institutions, and people for the attitude in order to then report them in the name of the state and in the name of the executive and drag them to court. This is not only anti-constitutional but totalitarian. What we experience here is like the witch hunt in the Middle Ages. I didn't have to be true that someone was a witch. It was enough that one was denounced and it came to a court. Modern legal system presuppose that one must prove the guilt of a person with certainty in order to accuse them. That's called a burden of proof. But what is to be enforced here with the anti-discrimination law is a reversal of the burden of proof, and I think that is very dangerous to the democracy. It's important that Germany upholds its democratic values and promotes dialogue between different political views. Concerns about a possible development towards a totalitarian regime and restriction on freedom of expression should be taken seriously and discussed openly in order to maintain a strong democracy. The democracy in Germany is really in danger. I would be glad if you stop by here again, and if you really like this video, please leave me a like and subscribe to my channel. I wish you all the best. Peace, Frank.